Welcome back to the Mario Mancini show with your host, Mario Mancini. Unfortunately, we don't have a guest today, so I'm Mario's guest, but we might get somebody on. I've sent a message to someone earlier on Facebook, a guest that you wanted. It's not the porn star, but it's someone from the wrestling business, so that will have to do. If he comes on, I don't think so. He didn't reply, so we'll see. I'll tell
Okay.
you who it is at the end.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Tough week again.
Oh, it was rough because I was working and I was seeing a couple of clients, and all of a sudden I got a text and I looked down. He said, "All right, Aaron Sheik died." Oh. I had to pause. The clients actually went, "Are you okay?" I said, "No, just lost a friend of mine." And of course, that meeting turned into a long meeting. And I said it was the Iron Sheik, and the clients ended up being wrestling fans, and then my matches on YouTube came on, and the whole 9 yards. And so, but it very sad. Sheik was a good guy. He was a good guy. He was an honorable guy. Um, he was a pain in the neck, but who wasn't? You know what I mean? Just just sad. He lived to 81. I mean, for the life he lived and what he did, that was a pretty long life for what he put himself through. But
Yeah.
a lot of funny stories about the Sheik. And if he called you Bubba, then you're okay with him. So um, feel really bad that we lost the Iron Sheik. Yeah, it's a it's a terrible thing. Yeah, a lot of people already miss him on Facebook because he would
Yeah.
obviously. Obviously, it was suddenly. Obviously, my guess would have been a massive heart attack because he had just posted a couple hours before that. You know, um, he was swearing something up. You know what I mean? So, uh, but he was a good guy. He was very patriotic. Uh, one of the most patriotic Americans you'll ever meet. So nice guy. Obviously, excellent wrestler. He was very dedicated to the WWF, despite um, Vern Gagne telling him, don't do the job tonight, break Hogan's leg, and bring the belt back to Minnesota. You know what I mean? And he did business. He did, he did business.
Well,
So, and you know what, Vince, he's one of the few guys I feel that Vince really treated right because he said, be the bridge for a month and drop the belt to Hogan, and I got good things ahead for you. And they made him and Nikolai, tag team champions, and he I think he did really good by one of the few times he did good by the Iron Sheik. You know what I mean? So um,
when was the
you know,
last time you seen him?
oh, years, maybe 10 years. Yeah,
Convention.
yeah. He was walking around with a cane. I think he was in a wheelchair at the end, but I seen him walking around with a cane and everything. But Sheik was always happy when he had his medicine. As long as he had his medicine, it was good.
Yeah. He's like one of the only people I think that will ever take kayfabe and his character with him to the grave with the way he carried on, on social media and everything with fuck Hulk Hogan. And we know him and Hulk Hogan are actually cool, but just the way he lived the character till his dying day, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he really didn't like Brian Blair though. Um, that was a shoot. He didn't like Brian Blair. Um, Sheik was one of those guys that they say in a professional wrestling business there's entertainers and there's legitimate tough guys. and legitimate shooters. And Sheik was a shooter. You know, Sheik can take you and wrap you up and hurt you anytime he wanted to. But he was a kind guy, so he was going to do that. But he was a legitimate tough guy in the business. He really was. You know, there were a lot of shooters in there that could really do some damage to you if they wanted to, and he was one of them. You know what I mean? So he you know, we all know his history. I'm sure his documentary is going to go crazy. Everybody's going to watch it, and they should, because they'll learn a lot. They'll learn a lot. You know, they'll see how he worked for the United States Olympic team and everything, and he loved this country. So you know, which is contrary to his, you know, Iran number one, Russia number one, you know, USA two. You know what I mean? It was just, that was completely opposite of the life he was really living. But you know, he liked the medicine a little too much. But that being said, you know, he's not one of these wrestlers that overdosed at 45 years old or 50. I mean, the guy lived to 81 years old. So you got to give that to him. You know, you got to give it to him for that. You know, there's the plain story. There's my personal story.
You're gonna, yeah, your story with the ring gear. I know we've talked about it before, but we may as well talk about these things tonight, just in case people haven't heard the story about that.
So I had a brainstorm that back in the day, there's only one place you can get professional wrestling trunks, genuine professional wrestling trunks, and only one place you can get professional wrestling boots. Now, certainly, you know, the guys from Texas or whatever, if they had a boot making company, they special order for their gimmick, their cowboy gimmick or something, or guys like Savage who had a costume maker. It's different. If you're talking traditional professional wrestling trunks, tights, leotard, whatever, it was Carl and Hildegard, K&H Wrestling, out of Johnstown, Ohio. And the only place you can get wrestling boots was from B&A Boot Company in Paris, Arkansas. That's it. So I called up K&H. I said, "Hey, this is Mario Mancini." They're like, "Hey, Mario, how are you? You know, what color do you want now?" Because I had blue, I had purple, I had white. I'm like, "You know what? Can you make me a pair of trunks out of the Italian flag?" And they're like, "Absolutely." So, you know, I wanted it a little higher than the waist. So they sent them to me, and I looked at them. I tried them on. I'm like, they're fantastic. So now we go to Poughkeepsie, and I put my trunks on. I'm walking around. Nobody's saying anything. Patterson's not saying anything. Vince took a glance. He didn't say anything. Nothing. I'm in the middle of the dressing room. Sitting down. So I stand up, and the bathroom is way in the back in the showers. And Sheik walks by me, and he goes, Mancini. I go, yeah, Sheiky, what's up? That Sheiky's colors. I go, no. It's the Italian flag. No, Mancini. Those are Sheiky's colors. You can't wear those. I go, Sheik, I just got these trunks. It's the Italian flag. I'm Italian. Mancini is Italian. Those are Sheiky. Pat! Like he was 6 years old. He called Pat looks. I go, this son of a bitch is calling Pat Patterson on me. Here, look at Mancini wearing Sheiky colors. Look. Pat looks, he goes, yeah, you can't wear those. Now, I wasn't that kind of wrestler that did TV for the WWF, and when I wasn't doing TV for the WWF, I was doing all these independent shows. I didn't do that. I relied on the TV tapings and house shows. Terry Garvin would call me to go to house shows. So I I really didn't do nothing. Even when I got out in '92, after 3 months before my 26th birthday, I didn't bother with independent pro wrestling at all, whatsoever. So I took them off, and I looked over at Sal Baloma, and I said, "Hey, Sal," and he looked over. I said, "You want a pair of trunks?" And I whipped them at him, and he caught them, and he looked at them. He goes, "I go, yeah, I can't wear them." Sheik says I can't wear them. He goes, "You want any money for it?" I go, no. Just take them. I was so disgusted. I said, "Just take them." Fucking Sheik. And Sheik
That
breaking
was
my.
the only. Was that the only kind of? I won't even call it a falling out, but maybe time you
No,
kind of cross paths like that creatively.
Sheik wasn't that kind of guy. Sheik, he wasn't that kind of guy. I mean, he, if I work, I work with him again and go, Sheik, Nikolai gonna put me over his head? Or are you doing a camel? I did the camel clutch. There was that one time I was working with him in Volkov, and I looked up at the board. It was me and somebody else against Sheik and Volkov, and I walked over to Nikolai and I said, "Nicky, where's Sheik?" He's in the bathroom. So I walk all the way in the back. I go in the bathroom, see nothing. I look under the stall and I see the horns. Only he's not sitting down. I see the horns. Here. I go, Sheik. Yeah, Baba. Yeah, brother. Yeah. I go, Sheik, we're on the first hour. You want to ease up with that shit? Yeah, baby. Yeah. Yeah, baby. You're not worried about nothing with the Sheiky, baby. No. I go, Sheik, just ease up on that shit, brother. Nah, brother, you okay? Okay. I go, camel clutch? Yeah, camel clutch, yeah. Okay. Walk up with headlock. I grab him in a headlock. I said, man, he's going to back suplex me. We're not going to, he's not going to hold a spot with me. Told me snatch him in a headlock. He's going to give me a back suplex. Let's face it. Sheik was the king of the suplexes. He knew like a dozen suplexes. So I snatch him into the headlock. When you get somebody in a back suplex, you pick them up, your shoulders go back, and you go straight back. He's starting to go back. He's tipping my ass. No, going shake. I'm going out, shake. Hyperextended my neck. Couldn't turn my neck. You okay? I said, Sheik, I told you, go easy with that shit. No, you fine, Baba. You fine. You fine. You hit your head? I go, no, I didn't hit my head, but I hit my neck. Oh, he's rubbing my neck. You fine, Baba. You fine. Okay. Okay. But, he was Iron Sheik. Sheik can do no wrong. In my eyes, I'll never talk bad about the Iron Sheik because he was there for my hero. He was there for him. For some reason, Bruno was downstairs at an arena. He was outside the dressing room, and somehow 3 or 4 guys got back there and they were drunk. And they started shit with Bruno. And Bruno tried to fight them all. but he wasn't being too successful because there were like 4 of them. Sheik was in the shower. Sheik came out bare ass naked and kicked the shit out of all of them. He kicked the shit out of all of them. He beat the hell out of them. So that's the kind of guy Sheik was.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have any memories of him outside the ring? Outside the arena, even?
Well, I wasn't there, but I was told by 7 or 8 different guys. So Sheik's getting on the plane. He's got a middle seat. And he goes where he's sitting and he sees a woman at the end seat. And he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm the Iron Sheik, WWF champion. Would you mind sit in the middle so Sheiky can sit on the ends? Sheiky's big, you know." No. "Ma'am, I'm a pro wrestler, WWF champion. Please, I cannot sit in the middle. Please, can I sit at the end?" She goes, "No. You fucking whore motherfucker, you fucking..." She starts going crazy. "Oh my God, oh my..." She gets scared. Stewardess comes, runs over, gets the captain, looks at the Sheik, and he goes, "What's going on over here?" Sheik looks at him and goes, "I don't speak English. No English."
Oh my God. I remember you told me that one day we were doing a show and you were in your car
Yeah,
telling that story, and the laugh out of it.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stories of, mostly stories you'll hear about Sheik. They're the stories about Sheik won't, they're not stories that'll like knock you off. They're all kind of the same, where, he's in the back seat and his main thing is, where and when are we getting the beer? He had to have his beer. Where and when he's getting the beer, and his medicine. Those are the majority of stories you're going to hear about the Iron Sheik, except when his room got robbed.
What was taken?
He said his medals were taken.
Oh.
Nikolai Volkov was so cheap that he had a hot plate and a pot and a pan with him. So he would cook in the hotel room instead of spending money at a restaurant. So they call the police, and they're down at the front. They're down at the front desk, and the cops are there. Sheik is flustered, and he goes, "They stole my medals. They stole Sheiky's medals. Olympics. They stole Sheiky's medals. They breaking Sheiky's break my medals." And Nikolai goes, "And they stole my hot plate and my pot of pan." "Officer, you have to do something because they break into the room and they stole." And Volkov cuts him off and he goes, "And they stole my hot plate and my pots of pen." And Sheik is going on, "You have to make the report. We have to catch these people. They stole very precious to Sheik. You have to..." And you have to find my hot plate, my pots of... And she turns to Nikolai and he goes, "Nikolai, fuck you. Fuck your pots and pans. Fuck you, Nikolai."
Did they ever find the medals or the pots and pans?
I don't know, but they were... I don't know.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of people after passing away lately, isn't there? Superstar Billy Graham as well, and not so long ago, Lanny Poffo, who you had great times with as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lanny, I got to tell you, I saw a couple times throughout the past like 5 years, and he really was living for his brother. He really was. He was living for his brother. You see him. That's all he talked about was his brother. He was really living for him. Um, I, listen, I inboxed him because we were friends on Facebook, and yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, he could. So I inboxed him. I said, Lanny, what are you doing? And he said, what? I go, would you move to another country? He goes, do you see what I'm taking pictures with? I go, yeah, I do. He goes, you should come, brother. And a couple of pictures I saw those, I'm like, I hope that was just a fan picture because she don't look 18. you know,
Oh God.
he's so. But when I heard he passed away, I'm like, well, I'm not surprised. And I wasn't surprised that he might have died of a heart attack. Look, Maurice, um, in 12 days, I'm going to be 57 years old. I would be a little nervous if I had like a 23-year-old girlfriend, which I would never have. And, she was highly active, and I'm like, how am I gonna keep up with this now? You know what I mean? It's like, even though I got cleared by the
It
cardiologist last year of any blockages whatsoever, I'd still be concerned that, you know what? Um,
it wouldn't be a bad way to go, really.
no, it wouldn't be a bad way to go, but geez, uh, he was having fun. I got to say that. I was shocked when Poffo died because he was in good shape, and he was in good shape. To me, he was fine, but I'm no doctor. But hey, listen, I got my yearly follow up on the in 6 days at the cardiologist. He said, just humor me and come back next year. We'll check you out. And I said, okay. But all my pipes were clean, so I was very fortunate and very shocked at the same time because I was no Roma. You know what I mean? So I kind of abused. I'm Italian, so there was a lot of pizza and pasta in my life. So I was kind of surprised when they said, "Yeah, you're good." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Um, but yeah, I was sad with Lanny because Lanny Poffo, he's just a gentleman. Listen, most of the guys in pro wrestling were good guys. They're good. They're good people. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't know what today's wrestling business is like as far as the WWE. I'm not there, so I don't know. But everybody tried to help each other back then. It was really tight knit. It was very very small and tight knit. And I always feel very fortunate to be in the wrestling business when I was in it because it was just meant to be because I don't think I would have enjoyed myself in any other time period in wrestling. I missed the entire Attitude Era. I didn't. I never watched it once. You know what I mean? I didn't. I wasn't interested in
That
that. It's like,
that was probably something that it was good at the time, but maybe looking back on it now, you mightn't get the same buzz from it, if you'd watched it back then.
and I don't. Of course, when you're clicking through the channels, like I was clicking through the channels a couple nights ago, and I came upon Wow. and I watched it because, you know, I'm a pro wrestling instructor at Paradise Alley, and along with Roma. But you know, as I tell my students, if you pulled Harley Race, Ric Flair, and you know, I don't know, Nick Bockwinkel, and a couple other guys, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and say, did you maximize your talent as far as a wrestler? Did you know everything there is to know in the ring? They'd all say no, because you never stop learning in professional wrestling. You just never stop. So although I know how to take a square piece of clay and mold it into a fully functional professional wrestler, you always can learn more stuff, especially when it comes to teaching females. And right now, Paradise Alley has a lot of females. So I watched it, and out of 3 matches, I got one move that I kept replaying and watching so I can teach it in the school. I got one move. Everything else were, you know, arm drags and slams and arm bars, and hip tosses. We headlock takedowns into a head scissor. We do that, all that stuff already. But this was like a crucifix into a sunset flip, something like that. And you can always learn more and pass that along. Back then, everybody was trying to do that. Everybody was trying to come up with something new. Everybody was trying to, improve the matches, and you sometimes you get a group of guys, especially me at 18 years old. Every time I come back to the dressing room, one of the boys, if not the agent himself, would go, "Come here, come here, come here. Let's go over the match. You did this good. That was great. This was great. You could have did this though. When this happened, you could. That's how you learn." So, yeah, I'm glad I was in the business when I was in it. As I was clicking through the channels back in the 90s, just like coming across WoW. And not even WoW does it. I mean, what I said to myself back in the 90s, I'll say now. It was a female match, and the females were going in there with basically a G-string, it looked like. And I said to myself, if I want to watch this, I'll go to a strip club. I don't have to watch pro. Just go to a strip club if I want to watch this. It's not wrestling. It's just not. For God's sake, somebody sent me a video. They like aggravating me. People like annoying me. So they sent me.
Oh, is that when I send you the videos of these guys? This was in TNA a few weeks ago, where the guy stapled his head and then used pliers to take it out.
Yeah, no.
That guy stapled his head.
Did you send me the video on the guy that got caught on fire?
Yes, outside the ring.
That is not pro wrestling. It's not. That's
stunt work.
It's just not professional. Listen, listen. I've been honest on every podcast I've ever done. That's my policy. I'll admit that a kid kicked my ass. He did. I have this law degree hanging up on my wall in my office, and I'm supposed to be smart. Wasn't that smart? And it was one of my students in the wrestling school, and his name is Gabe, and he is on TikTok, and he has a ring in the backyard. He does backyard wrestling, and every time he comes to class, I go, "Listen, you're doing that shit in your backyard. I'm trying to make you into a legitimate professional wrestler, doing these moves correctly and professionally." I go, "You're not going to hit somebody with a fluorescent light here. You're not going to bleed like a pig. You're not going to get caught up in barbed wire. The kid, Gabe Sayers, he's on TikTok, he's on YouTube. I kept giving him a hard time. I'm like, to the point where he'd come into the school and I go, "You're pissing me off. You're pissing me off doing this stuff. You really are." I said, and this is when he gave it to me. I said, "Gabe, you are insulting the integrity of the profession I've spent 39 years in." And he said, "Mario, I went to college for social media. Those videos are making me money." I said, "What?" He goes, "They're making me money." I said, "Gabe, I never thought of that. I never thought of that." He said, "Yeah, yeah." I said, "You know what? I understand. Now I get it. I understand. And you know what? Because of the background and education I have, who is anybody to deprive anybody of making a living? You're not. You're not. You can't deprive anybody of making a living." So I respected him for that. He's just a kid. I respected him for that. I said, "I get it. Keep bleeding like a pig and slamming fluorescent lights over each other's heads then." You know what I mean? So 1981. I was 15 years old. For me, 1981, I was sitting in the New Haven Coliseum watching the Magnificent Morocco wrestle. I have to say wrestle because I was a mark back then. I'm probably still a mark now. Wrestle Bob Backlund. You know what I mean? So, those, that stuff was fantastic. I was talking to Big Daddy. Every now and then I tell Big Daddy, the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy, who, by the way, is doing the color commentary. We're talking Tommy Saban. Huge show tomorrow night. Fight TV. Rarefied air. Richard
And
Holland.
we might have some of this coming up on this channel potentially as well. Some wrestling.
Yeah. Rarefied air. His first comeback match after being in remission from lymphoma for a year. He took treatment for a year, and he's in full remission. He's back in professional wrestling, and his first re-debut match will be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. bell time, live on Fight TV. So, but I was telling Big Daddy, who's doing the color commentating, you won't want to miss that. Big Daddy doing the color, you just don't want to miss it. I miss being a wrestler.
He's another guy. He's another guy that hasn't showed up on the show in quite a while through numerous invitations. I think you scared them off with all this Vince McMahon stuff. All these guys.
No, Big Daddy. You have to understand, Big Daddy. It's Big Daddy.
What are you joking?
Big Daddy is the kind of guy that if the mood hits him right, you know what I mean? He's in. If he feels a little off about anything, he's gonna go, "No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it." And there's a world premiere play about professional wrestling that premiered in Branford, Connecticut. And they called me and asked me to come and bring as many people as I could from the school for comps. And I invited Big Daddy, and like at the last minute, he's like, "Yeah, sorry, bro, I can't make it."
Do you know, was this called Master of the Puppets
Master
thing?
Puppet,
Was it?
Master of the Puppets. So
Okay.
Master.
Was there any Metallica involved in that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what it was called, and you had Victor, who was Vince. I forgot the wife's name, but obviously that was Linda. And then you had a character called the Reaper, which I guess was like the Undertaker. The heavyweight champion, we still can't figure out who he was kind of modeled after. He was a bigger guy, blonde, kind of Ric Flairish maybe. You had a storyteller who was kind of his booker or whatever. But it's a good play. I hope it goes far. Believe it or not, the world premiere of it was in Branford, Connecticut. So I saw it twice, and the actors and the guy who wrote it really appreciated me going to watch it, and I critiqued it for them. They mentioned there's a character in there. You don't see him; they only talk about him. His name is Angel. So anytime the wife would get mad at Victor, she'd go an Angel, and you go, never, that name was never to be mentioned ever again, ever. So Angel was having some emotional problems, and he went home and he killed his wife and one kid, and then killed himself. So we know they were referring to Benoit there. So Vince plotted to have Victor plotted to have his wife killed, and they kind of had the gun to her back, and she said, which was the only real wrestler's name in the whole play, the only one. Well, now she mentioned in the beginning they were talking about Madison Square Garden, and they were talking about Bruno Sammartino and Killer Kowalski, but she said, you have the gun to my back. Even when they killed Bruiser Brody, they killed him from right in front, from the front, and I'm like, those were the only two things I really didn't like about the play. Other than that, I found it very, very interesting. They have a glossary in the program, so the non-wrestling fans would understand the terminology. So they had a glossary in there of kayfabe, a shoot, a work, all
Nice.
the jobber, ham and egger. They have a whole glossary in there. So I'm hoping that it takes off for them. Very nice people doing the play. And TV and Hollywood personalities are doing it. They're not like schleps. These people have been around for a while. So
And Evan Ginsburg was saying he met you there. Evan, who's the producer of the movie The Wrestler. Remember that with Mickey O'Rourke?
Oh yeah, Evan. I met Evan the Sunday I went. I met Evan Ginsburg there. Yeah.
Nice guy too.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. And he made a post that said he saw it. I met Mario Mancini there. He said so, and he said he'll do a review on it. So yeah, Evan was a nice tall guy. He's a tall guy, like towered over me.
I've only seen him. I've only seen most of you guys in like Zoom or StreamYard form until next year when we're all in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, Well, I don't know, Maurice. You look about 5'4".
Yeah. That's I'm leaning up on. There's books underneath me. I'm actually smaller.
Mom, I'm gonna look like two of you when I'm standing next to you. Your jacket size must be about a 40. You're in
I don't know, like the American size.
American size. Well,
yeah, this is a medium.
Yeah, this is a double XL.
I don't know what that means.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, Evan was a very nice guy. Yeah, he was a nice guy. So
yeah, We'll talk a little bit before we wrap up on the old Paradise Alley. I know, like, you've got show tomorrow night on Fight TV. What's the story with the brewery show? It's been put off for another week, is it?
No, we had it last Saturday. It was
Oh,
cold.
you had it.
Yeah, it was cold.
Okay.
So, our next schedule was for July 1st. Kind of, John Armada, who's the owner of the brewery, and myself agreed we weren't too comfortable with that date because that's the 4th of July weekend, and we don't know what kind of crowd we're going to pull on a holiday weekend. So we postponed it till July 8th. So July 8th was, he had a couple kegs set up out there, and he had beer out there. There was a food truck. It was a really good time. And the most important thing for me, I don't give a shit about me, but I want to make sure these kids, I want to make sure these kids.
We were talking about you earlier.
Just got on, Big Daddy, after I put you over completely. So I'm just because of the respect I have. The respect
Undertaker's got it.
For Big Daddy, I will repeat it again. Tomorrow night, live on Fight TV, Rarefied Air, Richard Holliday's first comeback after recovering from cancer. Big Daddy will be doing the commentary. Now, I know if you guys around Ireland, around the United States, order this, you're getting it for the wrestling. I have to tell you, some of the two premier females in the country today are going to be on this show. They're going to be on this show. And I know you're going to be tuning in for the wrestling. I do know this. But I promise you this. It's $9.99. When that show is over, you will say that money was worth just listening to Big Daddy do the show. Just listening to him doing the commentary is worth the $9.99 getting the show. Because he's got a talent and a character. And that Megan Bain versus Nikki Duke, two premier female wrestlers here in the United States today. And Holliday's going against Big Bacon, Brad Hollister. But listening to Big Daddy itself is a treat. I'll say it again. If you want to listen to somebody commentate about pro wrestling, and you want to put Bobby Heenan, Lou Albano, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, and Freddie Blassie all in a one guy, that's the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. That, and even a little touch of Jesse Ventura. So him and Talking Tommy Sabin will be doing the blow by blow, and hopefully again tomorrow night, along with the brewing company. My point is this: I don't give a shit about me. As long as my kids have an experience, as my kids have a good time, because there's no sense doing this if you're not going to have a good time. As long as they have a good time, I'm happy. And let me tell you something: everybody had a ball at the brewery. Everybody had a blast. I mean, it was so much fun. Thought about you, Maurice. I said, what a shame. This guy would have been through like his 13th beer by now. Either that,
beer and wrestling,
or because it's a micro brewery, they make their own beer. Either that, or you would have said, "What is this shit?" And because you are Irish,
probably went and got whiskey.
You Irishmen are tough when it comes to beer. It's Guinness or bust. But I'm sure they have a delicious dark draft there at Armada Brewing Company.
That's why when we go to Philadelphia next year, you need to pack up Paradise Alley. I said it to Paul Roba, and he was like, I don't think we can do that. I said, I'll just pack it up and put it in the back of a van and just drive to Philadelphia. Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Well, Scott
I don't
Wilder.
think Paul thought I was.
Yeah, no. I listen. Scott Wilder. I was talking to him last night. He wants me to go up to Saratoga Springs. I don't mind doing it, but you need a license to hold a wrestling show in the state of New York. So I don't know. He'll be
Next
close.
year in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Big Daddy.
They're going to pack it up in a van. Did they tell you that yet?
Yeah, he wants us to run a wrestling show, Big Daddy, in Philadelphia at the WrestleCon, near the WrestleCon. I don't know. We gotta talk to Roma. Roma's crazy these days.
During the day on the Friday, or during the day on the Saturday, or during the day on the Sunday, in that gap there between WrestleMania and us waking up and starting drinking. Random question thing. Asking Mancini who would win in some dream matches. You can ask him whatever you want. I'm sure he'll answer it.
Throw two guys up there, brother. Go ahead. I put him on the spot.
Fantasy booking.
Yeah. Put him on the spot.
Well, I'll give you one before he gets in.
I'll give you a hint because nobody knows Roma like I do. So Roma said, I don't think we can get that. I don't think we could do that. Say, Roma, there's a $2,500 booking fee aside from the show. If you can confirm that you can bring PAPW to Philadelphia, separately on the side, you'll just be handed $2,500 for setting the whole deal up. He'll go, where's the location? He'll be mad I said 2,500. He'll call me tonight and go, you should have said 5,000. All right, so gang, George, you have to remember something. ENT Bundy, my dear friend Chris, if you watch his earlier stuff, he was Mario Mancini at one time in the WWF or the WWW. He was a jobber. He had a head full of hair, He went to another territory and was working there, shaved his head, gained some weight, and became King Kong Bundy. But if you watch his early stuff, you'll see how good of an athlete Chris really was. Chris was an excellent, excellent wrestler. I watched a lot of his early stuff, and he was a great wrestler. He wasn't just a forearm body slammy guy, giving you forearm smashes and chops, and then just give you an avalanche. Chris can really work. And work really well. He was a good Greco-Roman style wrestler. So I have to give the edge to Bundy there. With the one-man gang versus Bundy. I would. That's a great match. That match would sell out Madison Square Garden. Who's the baby face? Or is it a tweener? Or is it two heels? Two heels going against each other. But somebody's going to turn into a baby face. Superstar Billy Graham. All right, ENT, listen to me very closely. Superstar Billy Graham was a great personality, tremendous, great promos, great physique. Okay, he drew a lot of people. He was a great character, Superstar Billy Graham. But you're putting him in the ring with a shooter, a scientific wrestler. So it's really hard to pick a winner on that one. If you're going to pick a winner out of popularity, because I've said it on another podcast that if they pointed to Hulk Hogan and said, "You know what? We changed our mind. It's not going to be you. We're not doing Hulkamania. We're going to stick with Superstar Billy Graham." I think he could have done the same thing. I think he could have exploded the wrestling business. I think he could have done the same thing. He had the personality to do it. He was hot. So based on that, you'd put Superstar Billy Graham over. If you want to talk about wrestling ability, half of a shoot, you got to give it to the Iron Sheik. You know what I mean? But Graham, because of his persona, definitely would go over on that match. But he, just like the way he beat Bruno with 2 feet on the ropes, he'd find a way to cheat and beat the Sheik. Absolutely.
Check this one out.
I already broke it down, Big Daddy. You're gonna have to watch the replay. I broke the whole. Yeah. Listen, when it was over, I looked at everybody and went, "No, it was good. We liked it. We enjoyed it. It was good. It was good. It was funny. It was funny." Those actors and actresses work hard in that play. So, hopefully it'll go somewhere after Branford, Connecticut. It's at Stony Creek in Branford, Connecticut. So Master of Puppets. Hopefully it goes somewhere. Look it up, guys. Master of the Puppets in Branford, Connecticut, and hopefully it'll go somewhere.
Is it the time of the show where I reveal who didn't show up tonight?
Yeah, who didn't show up, Maurice? Oh, man, let me tell you something. You would have had me on my ass. That would have been a explosive show. I wouldn't have got a word in it. I would have been laughing the whole time. I would have a blaring headache right now from laughing so hard. I'm surprised. If you told him I was going to be here, I was surprised he didn't pop right on. That's how close we are. Yeah. He must be working or something.
He did say that he will come on at some point. So
yeah, he will. Yeah. No, Jose's good at his word. He will. Let me tell you, I can have the most horrible day, bad mood. What I got in that dressing room, and I got what Jose. Because he would start right off. I'll never forget the first day he called me that. He goes, "Hey, Manzanita." I go, "What? Manzanita?" I go, "Wouldn't that be like a girl?" Wouldn't that be like and I just started laughing. And I'm like, "Only Jose." For the entire time I was there. I said, "Manzanita, how you doing?" Oh my God. He was just hilarious.
I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and he's just straight up, like, isn't he?
Well, listen, if
like
you don't
in terms like you just
if you don't know him, he's going to be straight up. But if he's on here with me, the guys.
That's what I was hoping for.
I stopped my car. Must have been 4 or 5 months ago. I stopped my car and pulled it over because somebody inboxed me and said, "Jose Luis Rivera passed away." And let me tell you something. I started shaking. I was like, "This can't be true." And I just started Googling and looking. And it was an ex-wrestler's name, Jose Rivera, passed away. And he was older. So I went into Instant Messenger and I went, "Brother." And he went, "Manzanita." And I went, oh, I was like, "Oh my God." Thank God. I was like,
there was
God.
actually
He scared the shit out of me. He goes, that wrestler that died, right? I go, yeah, oh my God. I go, I can't tell you. I go, I love you, brother. Please, don't do that to me. It was terrible.
There was a rumor yesterday going around that an ex guy on WCW who was a enhancement talent passed away, and all these big websites reported this, and his son came out and said, "My dad isn't dead." And these were all the big websites were reporting this, and even Chris Jericho picked up on it on Twitter last night because he was one of Jericho's first matches in WCW, and he goes, "Sorry to hear about the passing of, just can't remember the guy's name at the moment, but." Put it out there, and his son wrote underneath Jericho's tweet and said, "My dad's alive."
Wow.
So all these rumors, it's crazy. I couldn't put out a thing that said someone was dead unless you have fucking proof,
Well, Maurice, this is you found out the real reason why, the legitimate reason why I do Cheap Heat on a monthly basis, so people can see that I am still alive. That's the real reason why. So those nasty rumors don't start, so they can say, "Oh, look, Mario's still alive." I don't know how long.
Because I think maybe when you do pass away, I don't think you're going to get that intro at the start of Raw or SmackDown, are you?
No.
No.
In fact, I would encourage people tonight to watch Friday Night Raw, or is it Monday Night SmackDown?
Friday Night SmackDown.
What is it? Friday Night SmackDown?
Friday Night.
I would encourage people to watch that, because I'm sure in the beginning of the show, they're going to have a very eloquent tribute to one of the pioneers in this business, the Iron Sheik.
Yes.
Sheik started it all. Started all of it. You know what I mean? So I have respect for the Sheik. Don't forget, Hulkamania was huge, but just like a true jobber would say, if the Sheik didn't do the job for him, then Hogan wouldn't have got over like he did. And I was in the Garden that night, 7 months before I turned pro. So if you watch the birth of Hulkamania on YouTube, you'll see a pudgy senior in high school with a gray leisure suit on, putting his arm around the Sheik to get him back to the dressing room. Now, you're not going to recognize me because, number one, I was 17 years old. And number two, I had a very huge mop of hair, which I don't have now. So even when I look back at that, I kind of, and Big Daddy will be happy about this and go, back, about time, Mancini. It kind of blows my mind that, number one, I didn't even turn pro yet until that July, 7 months later. I'm 17 years old in Madison Square Garden on the night that Hogan takes the belt from the Sheik, and I'm involved in getting Sheik back to the dressing room. Who gets to do that? Who gets to do that? I mean, I was there holding Roddy Piper back in the war to settle the score in that same damn leisure suit. The same suit I did Tuesday Night Titans with. It's the only suit I had, and at that with my brothers. So how the hell does a kid get to do that? So you know what? I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful. I'm very humble that I was able to experience what I experienced. And I'm very thankful for that, regardless of the decisions I've made over the past year that might have made me look like I wasn't too thankful at all. But I was thankful, and I am thankful. What I've done over the past year. I'm a man with 3 daughters. I'm a man with 3 daughters, so I kind of took that personally, is to explain my actions. So, Maurice, we might want to.
Jeff Gann.
we might want to start this podcast at 6 o'clock because we're really getting a lot of action here. But you people have to realize that my brother here, Maurice, he's in Ireland, and it might be 6:05 here in East Haven, Connecticut, but it is 11:05 in Ireland, and this man has young children, so it's very hard for him to start later. He'd rather start at 10 o'clock and end at 11. Plus, he's got a job like me, and sleep. Although I do see Maurice on as later than I ever thought. I'd say, does this guy ever sleep? It's like,
yeah, except for last night. I went to bed early last night, and I managed to miss my alarms and wake up 20 minutes before work. And normally I might only get maybe 3 or 4 hours sleep. Last night I got nearly 8 hours sleep, and I was fucking nearly late for work.
Sometimes it's like 10:15 while I'm sitting there watching TV, and I just look at my phone, and I can see the green dot there, and I'm like, holy Jesus, Maurice, does he ever go to bed? So I see up there at 3:30 in the morning where you are, and I was like, this dude's not sleeping. It's nice to be young. Nice to be young.
Yeah.
I was young once.
Sometimes it's either one or two things. It's either the baby waking or it's the Jameson.
Yeah, or the Jameson. The upper tier. I'm going to guess. This isn't gospel. Please don't start writing in and going, he's got his head up his ass. That's not why. I don't know, Mario.
No, he's cool. About. He's cool. Don't worry.
The upper tier is. This is my guess. Upper tier. This was really cool. So when Fred Blassie couldn't get around like he used to, they put him in the office. And Freddie's job, listen to this, if you got lost on the road and called the office, Freddie told you where to go. I swear to God, I was on the phone with Freddie Blassie one time in the middle of Huntsville, Alabama. And I go, Freddie, I'm lost. I can't find the arena. I just went into a military base and they kicked me out. I go, did I have a big missile there? And I go, yeah. He goes, okay, did you take a left or a right out of there? I mean, the guy knew the whole country, nook and cranny. So when he couldn't get around anymore because of his knees, they put him in the office. So my guess is when Freddie was a little too old to make it anymore, they just slipped Slick in there to take Freddie's place.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, maybe the next time we will start it at 6 o'clock.
Well, let's tell this to the fans. How about this? For the guys who tuned in, because what you guys are doing, I thoroughly enjoy. I really, really do. So I highly recommend that the next time we do this podcast and you get notice on my Facebook or Maurice's page that we're doing it, let's do a question and answer podcast. I'll answer all the questions to the best of my ability that you pop up. The whole audience could be our guest on the next show. It'd be Mario Mancini and friends, and just pop up all the questions you want, and I'll answer every question that I can.
So Q&A next month. That's what we're doing.
Q&A next GP.
Excellent. Well, enjoy your show tomorrow, and for people that want to check it out, Fight TV tomorrow, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, and hopefully some of the action will be here on this channel.
Come on, guys, support Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, man. Do that for me.
$9.99.
Watch Richard Holiday come out. It's $9.99. We'll check you again.
Good night, guys. God bless.
God bless.